Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to Fantasy Football Futures. I'm Tyler, and this is Tim.
How's it going?
And today, Timmy, we got a big day. Breaking down NFC South. Big news happened this morning. Baker Mayfield traded to Carolina. So, that is the biggest news this offseason. Everybody knew that he was probably going somewhere, but nobody was really sure where he was going, and it looks like he's found his home now in Carolina.
Yeah, it was actually kind of surprising because when it all first started, he said he didn't want to go to the Panthers, and the Panthers kind of came out and said they don't want him. And then it just kind of finally worked its way there. I always thought he was going to Seattle.
Yeah.
But it ended up he had to go. Like, he wasn't going to play for the Browns.
No,
There's no way if Watson gets suspended that he was going to play, so he had to be traded, or he just was going to sit out.
Yeah.
So they sent some money with him for like a fifth round pick next year, something like that. 2 years.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's interesting to see because I know Baker says he didn't want to go there, whatever, but really at the end of the day, I think Baker should just be glad that he ended up somewhere. There's not a huge market for a guy who's entering his fifth year, going to be contract. Don't really want to spend too much money on him if you're the Browns. We've seen ups and downs out of Baker for sure, too. So it's really, to me, I think the Panthers get a little bit better. I don't think it's crazy. Like, you might see 2-game difference in their win total, but I don't know. They traded up for Matt Corral, and then now everybody's kind of expecting him to kind of step in and be that starter, but I think with Baker now it gives him at least some time to develop. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see kind of how this QB room shakes out and what happens with Sam Darnold too.
I know. That's the crazy thing is their fourth quarterback's PJ Walker,
I know,
who played last year. So it's a very weird. I feel like for Sam Darnold, like I don't know if he'll be on the team to start the season.
Yeah,
I don't really know what's going to happen, but it's very, very weird that they're going to, especially when they went and got Matt Corral. I'm like, oh, there's no way to get Baker then. Like, they're fine with Sam.
Yeah.
They'll do 1 year and then transition to that. But now I think it's very interesting, to say the least.
I think it's kind of Matt Rule needs to win now, and
yeah, 100%.
He needs somebody who can kind of, after watching last year what they did with Cam, PJ Walker, Sam Darnold, it was just, I don't know, it was atrocious. Kind of what that QB room did. And I think Matt Rule just wants somebody who will consistently go out and is kind of a competitor. And I think they get that with Baker. I just don't think Baker, I don't know. I love Baker. I like Baker. I think Baker is a great player. It's just, he's not going to wow your socks off or anything. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting to see kind of what that room's going to look like. With that being said, then so Baker comes in. Now we got probably 2-man competition between Darnold, Baker going into OTAs and camps and everything. In this preseason, Matt Corral, I think he'll probably sit most this year unless something he really shows out.
Yeah.
But with that being said, how does that look? Do you think Christian McCaffrey now still solidifies himself as like a first rounder, late first rounder, early first round? I know he's had a bunch of issues with his injuries, but what are you thinking with McCaffrey this year?
I don't think, for me, it's not technically a big upgrade from Sam Darnold to Baker. I think Baker is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. I'm 100% over Sam Darnold. I just don't think he's a good quarterback. I think he's done being a starter in this league. He's going to be a backup. That's kind of what he's going to have to be. So I think if Christian can stay healthy, I think him and Baker are going to kind of have a good chemistry. Like Baker, when with Kareem Hunt on the field, like he can get him the ball. Christian McCaffrey is going to he'll be able to do those dump offs, some design plays for him, and then also you got DJ Moore as well. And so like Baker Mayfield, besides I guess you can say Odell, has never had a dominant wide receiver, and I think DJ Moore can be that guy. And then having Christian McCaffrey, it's all about staying healthy though, so that's gonna be an interesting thing. But I think the Panthers do get better with Baker. It's just how are they going to use them? You can't have Baker going deep down the field. Like you need dump offs to Christian.
Yeah.
make sure he has the ball, DJ Moore has the ball at all times.
So McCaffrey probably last 2 years, 3 years, McCaffrey's been clear cut number one overall draft pick you're taking in fantasy football. This year, knowing last 2 years he's been injured quite a bit. Jonathan Taylor came off a huge year last year, and a lot of people are projecting him to be the 1-1, with Colts having, rightfully so, a great O-line. Where do you take McCaffrey? Where are you taking McCaffrey, and is he your second running back off the board? You wait because of the injuries, or what are you thinking with him?
I think, for me, he's probably still top 5. I think he's got to be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Come on. Like, maybe you have Jonathan Taylor 1 for sure. And after that, like, you can do Eckler, who's more part of the passing game, but he gets injured also. He's not like McCaffrey. Yeah. You can have Cook in there. You can also have Derrick Henry that started to catch the ball a little bit more, but he had that foot injury that I think could scare you a little bit. So I think at the longest you wait for McCaffrey is you get him the 3rd pick.
That's right.
I think you don't wait. I think once Jonathan Taylor's off the board, for me, he's my next pick. But I would understand if you would go Derrick Henry, Eckler before him.
Yeah, I mean,
just because of the injuries, not for talent wise or like PPR, but just because of injuries. If you're scared about that.
Yeah, and I mean, like kind of what you mentioned, I'm all about Jonathan Taylor. I think what he did last year was unreal. I'm still not sold that that's going to happen again, like completely. And I just think Christian McCaffrey, he's so good when he gets the ball and in space, like you said, catching the ball, running the ball. He's dynamic in both aspects. Where a lot of running backs we see in fantasy drop off, but I agree that I think like you take Jonathan Taylor first because of what you saw last year and who he has coming back O-line. And from talks and camps, Matt Ryan has been doing great. So that'll be interesting to see there. I think Derrick Henry comes back. He's the bell horse. He's that whole team for the Titans. So I wouldn't worry too much about him. But, yeah, McCaffrey I think is the number 3rd. You can interchange him with Henry if you think Henry coming off injury is something to be concerned for. But, McCaffrey I think either has to figure it out now or you might see talks where he's going to get traded because there's just no point to keeping him because he's going to have 3 games, 2 games, and you got a guy like Chuba Hubbard there behind him who he showed sparks last year. He's not the same guy at all, but he does play decently well, and he's not McCaffrey, but he's not also a terrible backup option.
Yeah, the more we keep McCaffrey and the more he gets hurt, the less value you get for him. So if you're thinking that the Panthers might not win now, like trade him now, try to get the highest value out of them.
Yeah.
Like if you maybe go a year and he's healthy, then yeah, that's when the max is. But if you start to see him just keep getting injured, his value just keeps going down and down.
Yeah.
And I think that sucks because he's a great talent, but sometimes you just can't overcome injuries.
It's like Todd Gurley, he was a great player, but had about 7 years and then his career was over because of injury. So
that's running backs for you. Like there's a reason why you don't pay running backs.
Yeah, it's Diamond does.
I don't think you should.
And let's go ahead and slide here. Then, looking at receivers, we kind of talked about one. You got DJ Moore. Last year, sliding in 4th round, 5th round, 3rd. He's mainly projected 4th round. This year, it's looking to be the same 4th, 5th round. And I solely believe that's because of who his quarterback has been. I don't see why you would reach up to get him now just because of Baker. I don't think the addition of Baker is he's a must-have for me. But I think DJ Moore, if you give him a decent quarterback, to me, he's a top 10 receiver in the NFL. He just makes plays nobody, it's just crazy. His athletic ability, how good he is. I just think you've seen Cam Newton last year, Sam Darnold throw him the ball, and P.J. Walker, just no consistency in that offense. He just really hasn't had a quarterback to really where he could show that skill set. We saw it early in his career when he had Cam, but it's just been a struggle with him. He's had great games, bad games, but I think if you're picking him in the 4th, late 4th, early 5th, that's a steal pick.
I think so too. I love DJ Moore. I know, especially to start last year, I was like, holy cow, this is a top 5 wide receiver. And then it was just he couldn't get he just couldn't get the ball. Or I felt like if he got the ball, he didn't go anywhere. He wasn't scoring a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah. It
was very frustrating to have him. I understand that.
He'd have like digit targets and maybe have 4 or 5 catches. Like,
yeah,
it's not on him. I think that's solely because of who his quarterback was. It's Matt Rule wants to get him the ball. He's clear cut the best receiver on that team, and that's what he's going to work on. It's just I don't really know how much it's going to improve Baker. Like we all thought of Baker with Jarvis and for OBJ, he was going to be lighting up the field and everything, but it didn't happen. But I think we saw where he had one good connection with Jarvis, and that seemed to kind of play better. Where I think out of the roster here, he's going to have that one good connection. I hope it's probably going to be with DJ. And I think if you're going to pick any receiver off this team, it's going to be DJ Moore because we saw last year the huge regression out of Robbie Anderson, who thought about retiring this offseason as well.
Yeah.
And I think that was solely because of he did not want to play with Sam Darnold again. He was with Sam Darnold at the Jets, then left, got to Carolina, had that one great year with Teddy, and then last year Sam came back, and we just saw poor performances from Robbie week in and week out.
Yeah, you said DJ Moore with like 12 targets and 6 catches. Yeah, that's because of the quarterback, but Robbie Anderson would drop every ball. He had 10 targets for 2 catches. I feel like if you go more to DJ Moore about that, then it might be a different outcome. But yeah, I'm off Robbie Anderson. Terrace Marshall didn't really do anything for me last year as well. So besides DJ Moore, I'm staying away from those 2 wide receivers. And it's more about, let's see if maybe Baker can have something going on with them outside of DJ Moore. Because someone is going to have to step up. I don't know, especially if Christian or DJ get hurt. Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall, one of them's got to step up. And if they don't, it's going to be a long season for the Panthers.
That's what I think personally. If you're going to look at a number 2, I think it's Terrace Marshall. It was rookie year last year. He showed some great stuff, but just looking at what he's done in the camp this year, he's talked about a lot how he's more comfortable running routes, how he's more comfortable. That second season, it changes a lot because you become more comfortable in the NFL. The speed slows down. So I think you're going to kind of see a big bump from him coming out of LSU's second year. I just think he's going to be I wouldn't take him early, but if you want to take a late sleeper option that maybe you can use, especially in those deeper leagues, I think Terrace Marshall will be one of the ones that will have a bigger year this year. Stepping up. He'll be a low-end flex play, but I like Terrace Marshall. I just think he's going to be able to take over, especially with Baker coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully he takes the next step. It's going to be a second year. And Chris McCaffrey's came out and said he's seen a huge difference with him.
Yeah.
Definitely having a great offseason so far. So right now you can get him anywhere you want, very late rounds or even just in free agency. But if you're high on him, he's something to definitely hold on to.
And then so here's another thing, okay? So we got DJ Moore, clear-cut number 1 coming back. Robbie Anderson, I think you can pretty much choose him or Marshall. I think they're both going to be interchangeable. It's going to be curious to see who kind of builds that better bond. I think that's what it's going to come down to with Baker. But you got Rashard Higgins, who's number 4 in this roster right now, coming over with Baker. They signed him in the offseason. Does that have anything to do? Do you think that changes anything with Baker coming over here for Rashard Higgins?
No, not right now at least. I just think even with the Browns, they're kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
And nothing that I can confidently put in my lineup or even on my bench to take up another spot where I could be holding someone like a rookie or anything like that.
Yeah.
So not right now, but if that starts to change, then I start to look at Higgins for sure.
That's right. And then tight end for me, I'm not going to. Tremblay is their number 1 option. He didn't do much last year. It's just kind of tight end for Carolina. It's going to be who's their number 1, what's it going to look like going forward.
Yeah.
So
a whole lot.
So then let's go ahead. Then we'll slide over from the Panthers and head down to Atlanta.
Well, one more thing with the Panthers. Did you know Johnny Hecker's their punter now?
I did not.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah. With Atlanta here, we have Marcus Mariota coming over from the Raiders. And then they drafted Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati this past year. Looking at this, it's clear that I think from what they've reported, Marcus Mariota is definitely going to start. They brought him in to be the starter after getting rid of Matt Ryan, who ended up going to the Colts. Looking here, is Marcus Mariota an option because of his feet going forward as a fantasy quarterback?
For me, not right now, just because I've seen Marcus Mariota play when he's able to throw the ball and run, and just he's not a good quarterback. Yet he came in with the Raiders here and there, and he had some good design plays for Mariota, and so that might have been just those plays helped him get a starting job here. But I'm off Mariota for fantasy wise. I know he could run the ball, but I just don't see that happening right now. I think they're going to need someone just to kind of get him through the season until they think Ridder is ready.
That's what I know. Ridder's been doing well. I just don't think he's ready for that. I think you give him a year and he'll probably eventually take over that role. Marcus Mariota, he had a stint in Tennessee where he did okay. He had some up years, and then some really down years towards the end. And then, like you said, with Oakland, he had some sparks, but that was because their play design was designed for him to do that. I wouldn't take any quarterback from Atlanta just because of kind of the division they play in as well. The defenses are pretty solid. I just don't really trust Marcus Mariota, and to be honest, he doesn't have a whole lot around him to make him successful. We looked last year, you got Cordero Patterson, who, journeyman, kind of was just all over, mainly punt returner, turned running back in Chicago, wide receiver combo, and then really just had a huge year last year for fantasy-wise. We saw him just starting to go off, putting his receiving ability in the backfield to use, and then just really taking over that way. I personally think Cordero is going to have an off year. I don't think he's going to be able to put up the same type of numbers as he did last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also I know the sleeper league is what me and you use, and they came out and said Cordell Patterson is only a running back. You won't be able to use him as a wide receiver
anymore.
I think that might help him a little bit, just because how running backs can help him by being played in fantasy, just because how hard it is to find a running back.
Yeah.
So you might start out with playing Cordell Patterson, but I'm with you. I don't think he's going to have the same kind of season. No. That was just kind of out of nowhere. It was very strange, very weird.
There was just nobody on that team.
Now he's considered their starting running back. If he's in the backfield for more snaps now, does that almost hurt him? They can't move him around like they almost did last time. If they're going to keep him in the backfield, it might be a little bit different.
He's just more of a split back kind of guy. He's more of the shift special play packages. He's not your 3-down back. I don't think. Watching him run the ball, it's not what a normal running back looks like.
And if they use him like that, I think if they can use that with Marcus Mariota, where Mariota's not having to read the defense and doesn't have to stand there in the pocket, and can just throw the ball to Cordell. And then when you have don't have this year, we have Drake London, and then you have Kyle Pitts as well. They have good players on this offense. It's just, will they make the smart decision and try to go use Patterson like they did last year and incorporate Drake London in there, and also just trying to make Pitts more involved as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's going to be interesting, because they did draft Tyler Algier, I think is how you pronounce it, from BYU, who had a solid career at BYU. He's really looked good in camps going too. So that's something to keep an eye out. And then they also signed Damian Williams, too, as a third-string back. So you got two guys who kind of can take some roles, I think, away. I think you're going to see this Algier guy take over some reps more than you think that he should. So that's something to keep an eye out for, because I just think Cordero Patterson's getting up there. He's been in the league for 10 years, I believe, almost. So it's just he's got a lot of drainage on his body and everything. So I think keep an eye out for his role shrinking a little bit, and then kind of using more of a traditional back to take over some of those first, second down plays, and then subbing in Patterson to kind of have special packages for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that because it almost seems like once a guy has a really good year, the next year he gets hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And then if that stays the course, then that's when Allen comes up. Could be you want to see what the rookie can do going forward because I don't think the Falcons are expecting to win this division. Maybe you can always guess sneaking the playoffs, but I don't think their defense is good enough for that anyways. But see what he can do, and if it's something where there's something they can lean on going into next year when they get Calvin Ridley back. If he comes back, I don't know I know he's suspended for the year, but that's just a very weird situation. You believe in Ridder, like it could be a good combo right there. So it should be pretty interesting for him and see what they do with Cordell Patterson.
Yeah, and then wide receiver wise, they go pick up Drake London out of USC
which I'm a fan of.
Everything you see from him in college and some videos that they've posted on their social media and everything. He's making plays. He's big, tall, athletic wide receiver. Gonna be their number one on the wide receiver core. I know they have Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts probably be first option, but I think this is a nice counterpart. It gives him somebody that he didn't have last year. Because that's what Matt Ryan just struggled last year. Nobody throw the ball to outside of Kyle Pitts. Defense is new. But I think Drake London has potential to be kind of rookie of the year candidate at wide receiver for this team. And you look at who he's got. He's got Brian Edwards, who came over from the Raiders in a trade, who people have been high on the last 2 years. And I don't know if that's partially Derek Carr. It's just, I think, one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL. Or he can't perform, but I don't know. Outside of that, with Calvin Ridley, like you said, getting suspended full year, gambling. I think it's Drake London's room, and it's just whatever he's going to be able to do and do himself.
Yeah, it should be well, I was going to ask you for Drake London. He's getting drafted in the 8th round. Are you looking at him in the 8th round, or if you don't believe in Marcus Mariota, are you waiting a little bit longer?
I feel like he'll probably get drafted higher than what his projections are, just based on his skills, athletic ability, him being a big, strong wide receiver. I mean, in fantasy, it's you take early, you take chances on those veteran guys, and then a little bit later in the draft, you got to reach and take chances on these rookie wide receivers. I
think what you're just kind of learning from the past 2 years, especially this year, if you don't watch a whole lot of football, but if you kind of follow the draft, the wide receivers were the talk.
Oh, yeah.
And then last year you had Jamar Chase go off. The year before they had Justin Jefferson. So you're expecting one of these rookie wide receivers to kind of go off. And both of them they didn't expect to do in the first year. So if you're kind of trying to pick that wide receiver that does the same, Drake London's that big dude that is going to get a lot of touches and he's going to be on the field a lot. So he could be that guy, and around the 8th, 9th round is when you're starting to see those rookie wide receivers go. So if he's there and I have a running back core, I feel like I'm going to be taking a chance on Drake London.
That's what I think.
If I don't have Cordell Patterson. I think you can't. I don't feel comfortable having both of them because I don't think they're both going to perform. I think it's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Drake London, if you're going to pick a wide receiver off this team, and he's one of the early wide receivers that I think I would take. He was taken, I think, 10th overall. He's one that you got to go get, I think, personally, with him. He has the potential to be the type of guy, Justin Jefferson. I wouldn't take him any higher than the 5th, but if you're really confident in him, you got to reach and go get him. Just because, like we said, these rookies come in and they're starting mini camps, rookie mini camps, everything. And you look at a broken up kind of wide receiver room where you got 2 new faces in London and Edwards, and then 2 new quarterbacks. It's anybody's chance to take it. And if I'm taking a chance on anybody, it's going to be the rookie. So, yeah, Drake London to me is the big one to take for them. And then tight end
Yeah.
wise, Kyle Pitts obviously last year struggled early, but then really came on late. Started to see him kind of be that type of tight end everybody was expecting him to be. He had some huge games, and then games clearly like when you're the number one option and the only option, it's hard to be a tight end and try to maneuver to get open and everything. So I like Kyle Pitts going this year. He finished in the top 10 as tight ends. I think this year you can look at him sneaking in top 5 too as well.
Yeah, I agree. He's the third tight end being taken overall to start this year, right behind Kelsey and Mark Andrews. And I think that's a perfect spot for him. I know you have right behind him is Kittle, who's being hurt, and then you have Waller, who kind of had an up and down year last year, and then also adding Devon Adams there as well. So I think Kyle Pitts, top 3 tight end. I like him there, and I think he's going to have himself another good year. He's projected about 1,100 yards, which is a ton for a tight end.
Yeah.
But how he plays, he's not really a tight end.
No.
But so I think if you can get him, he's going in about the 3rd round. And so if you can get him 3rd round, 4th round, I think that's almost where I draw the line for tight ends, because I feel like maybe if you had Kittle and Waller, but after that, like, I'm okay to wait till at later rounds to get because the tight ends after that are kind of iffy.
You get the top 4, and then after that, it's going to kind of be a sit and wait. Where I think
pretty much
he's definitely one that has worked himself into getting drafted early, and then you using him because of what he showed last year. Like, it's his first year. I think you give him a whole off season. Mariota's been there for a while. I think them two getting together is going to be key. I expect him to kind of, like you said, top 5. He can sneak in top 3. It really depends on just kind of how everything else. But it's him, another rookie, Drake London, or Brian Edwards, who's coming over, who might have a little upper hand because he was with Mariota, but I don't see that really being a factor. Atlanta,
I don't either.
Drafted him early. They're going to utilize him a lot. So, I don't know. Atlanta this year, it's a weird team. They're going to be a weird team. Like, they were in games last year. They did stuff, and it just, I don't know. It's going to be different. So, just kind of.
I think it's going to be high-scoring games again. I don't think their defense got better, but it's not. I don't think it's great. So I think they might still be getting up some points.
Yeah,
so
it'll be interesting to see.
Should be interesting.
And then let's go ahead and slide over here to New Orleans with the big news coming out with Sean Payton retired. He's no longer there. New head coach. You got your quarterback, famous Jameis Winston, signed to a deal, coming off his torn ACL injury. I'm not really sure how this is going to look with Jameis. I know last year, I'm just glad Sean Payton's out because I'm tired of seeing Taysom Hill run quarterback. He is not a good quarterback. It's going to be Jameis's team. Jameis going forward. They have Andy Dalton and Ian Book from Notre Dame to back up, but I don't think Ian Book is going to. He has no chance. No. I think it's going to be Jameis's team going forward. He's not a quarterback I'm taking personally this year, fantasy wise. You got to wait to see kind of what this offense is going to look like, and he doesn't have Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is a big question mark. We don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I was just trying to look to see if there's anything new about his score.
He got pushed back.
It just keeps getting pushed back. Yeah. So who knows exactly? If in that case, if you're kind of drafting now, I'm trying to go get Mark Ingram. I think, especially because I think that's going to be the main running back if Alvin Kamara does get suspended. So I think it could be a sneaky grab that you might. Alvin Kamara is probably going to get suspended 6 games if everything goes.
Yeah, it's going to be
everything goes down. I don't even know
what's going to happen with him. But Alvin Kamara. Now it's saying, where do you think you're going to take Alvin Kamara with all this stuff going on? We saw last year, question marks around Michael Thomas dropping real late in the draft. We're looking at Alvin Kamara here facing all this legal trouble now. And like you said, he has a hearing in August, but it could get pushed back. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. It's a 6-game suspension, but They could, which always can,
For,
cancel down to smaller, but
for me right now, I'm going second round with Kamara. I think there's some good running backs above him that you can take, but I think once you get down, like you can put him with like Saquon, Aaron Jones, Fournette. Like I think he kind of puts in that mix where it's like I don't want to take this guy in the second and third round, but also I don't want to get stuck with a really bad running back one. So you kind of take that leap of hopefully everything goes good. But I think if you do take Kamara there, that's when you for sure go get Mark Ingram.
yeah, to me, it's always tough with that situation because 6 games is, especially fantasy wise, is make or break. Like if you
it's third of the not even third of the season. It's almost halfway of the regular season.
That's what I mean. It's
fantasy football, so it's tough. For me personally, I would try to not go get him.
No.
Like I would make sure to go get a different running back, but like I think if you're got your running back and you're sitting at the end of the second round, early third, and he's still there, it'd be hard for me to pass up. It really would be.
I don't know. I would kind of almost wait and let him drop, see how far he's going to go back. I like Alvin Kamara. He's one of the better running backs in the league. It's just I think the 6-game suspension is going to be looming for a while, and I'm not sure if it's going to change after 6 games. Like he can appeal it. But the NFL's been kind of holding strong to what they're doing, so I could see it staying 6 games and him getting in trouble. And that I think you can almost wait and take him 4th, 5th round. Like if he's still there, that's when you go get him. But like we saw with it's just all these guys who were suspended. It's always question marks on. You're going to have a guy who's going to take him early because they're going to think, 6 games is nothing. But to me, I think I would sit and wait for Kamara.
Yeah, and that's if I don't know about the suspension. If I know it's 6 games for sure, then yeah, I agree with you. It's 4th, 5th round. Like you got to make sure you're getting your core of your team set before you go make that kind of. Maybe it'll get pushed down. Maybe I can hopefully hold on until that 6 games. So 4th, 5th for sure. But if there's a chance he doesn't get suspended, that's when I think he goes 2nd, 3rd round.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what's going to happen with him going forward. And like you said, if you're taking anybody, Mark Ingram would be the play, but there again too, you got to sit and wait to kind of see what's going on. It's a risk because you take him early and Kamara, nothing happens, and this case keeps getting pushed back and he's playing, then you're just kind of stuck with the second guy because Kamara's on the field, he's going to play. But if it's Mark Ingram, he's going to be the number 1. And then you kind of look at, like, Tony Jones was an option last year to come out of the backfield, catch the ball. They did sign a guy, Abram Smith. So it's always something interesting to see kind of, like, Mark Ingram's not really a receiving back. So who's going to take over that role? Because Kamara's a Mr. Do-It-All. So it'll be interesting to see. But, like, we saw Tony Jones a little bit last year, and a lot of people talk about him. It'll be interesting to see kind of what the room is going to look like when the suspension comes down and everything. So then you got wide receiver-wise, Michael Thomas being one that's still unsure when he's going to come back. I think he'll be back to start the year. He is running routes. He's doing everything. It's just, I don't know. He's been super weird for the last year and a half.
Yeah, I going into this offseason, I always thought the Saints were going to trade him. I thought they were of what was going on and how Thomas wasn't great to the Saints, but the Saints weren't. Whatever was going on with the whole ankle thing, and it really made me think like this relationship's over with. Like trade him, move on. In a perfect world, the Saints have a great wide receiver core with Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and then Chris Olave. Is it Olave?
Yeah.
And so I think it could be, but I think it's too good to be true. I think that's where there's going to be some stuff going on with Michael Thomas. Hopefully he can start, but I don't know. Where are you taking Michael Thomas in the draft?
See,
what do you feel like?
If he's healthy and he's going to come back and play, I think a lot of his issues stem from Sean Payton. and the front office. I think
Yeah.
the whole time there was something between the two of them that did not click. And I think that's kind of why he was kind of pushing back and being, I don't know, so it was such a weird situation last year where, oh, he might come back after 6. Okay, 2 more games. Nope. His ankle did this. Hope he's going to have another surgery. I think he's perfectly worth like a 4th, 5th round pick if you're going to go for a guy and he's healthy. Just because I know Chris Olave is going to be very good in the NFL. It's just Jameis Winston is a most unpredictable human being. There can be games where he throws the ball 40 times, and 20 of that times he goes to Michael Thomas. Like, Michael Thomas was once the best receiver, arguably, I guess, in the NFL. He had number 1 stats. I just think it's going to be hard to pass up Michael Thomas in the 4th, 5th round if he's still sitting there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe I do like 5th, 6th round, but healthy Michael Thomas on the Saints or no Saints, like, he's still a really good wide receiver. He's going to get the ball. And even with Winston, like, Winston's going to throw 4 interceptions, but he might throw 4 touchdowns to Michael Thomas. So it could be a crazy game. And so I think he definitely has to take that chance, and hopefully he's 100% healthy. And Michael Thomas needs to do what he used to do in the past. And if you can get a guy like that in the 5th or 6th round, that's a steal. That's someone that's taking you to the playoffs for sure.
To me, it's just I don't know. It's hard to pass him up because of I think he's a 4th, 5th round receiver this year just because of what he's done and how talented he is as a receiver. And then you kind of give him now weapons alongside of him with Olave and then a third piece with Jarvis Landry. It's just it's going to be tough. I like Michael Thomas as the number 1. The number 2, I think, is going to be tossed up between Olave and Landry. They did take Olave early, and he's one of the projected high rookies. Are you going to take Olave or London first if you have the chance, or out of all the rookies?
I take London first. I think he's going to have the biggest impact to start off with, I believe. But I do like Olave too. I think if I don't get London in the 8th or 9th round, I think 9th, 10th round, that's where I can get Olave at. I'd feel very comfortable with that pick. I would like to get one of these rookie wide receivers because I do think there's going to be one of them that's going to go off, going to have a great year. Probably win Rookie of the Year is my guess. But it's going to be tough to know which one because they all have the potential to be very good.
Okay. No Michael Thomas. Are you taking London first, though?
No, I take Olave. If there's no Michael Thomas, I think that's where Jarvis Landry is going to be a very consistent wide receiver, I think. But I think Olave without Michael Thomas is going to get more of the.
Olave is more of a deep ball.
More of the ball. I think it's going to be more deep ball. So I believe that's where Olave kind of takes over if Thomas doesn't play for the Saints.
Olave is more of like a Jamar Chase, not comparing the two, but like Olave is more beat you over the top kind of rookie. Where Michael Thomas, we know, is Mr. Slants. Everybody used to reference him as, but I still think Michael Thomas is one of the better route runners in the league. I think without, like you said, without Michael Thomas, you take Olave, probably one of the first rookies I would take off the board before London, even probably before Wilson, and then he's just too talented. He showed a lot at Ohio State, and I think he'll continue to do that. It's just his playmaking ball skills are so much better than some of the other rookies. And then, like I said, Jarvis is going to be very consistent. Jarvis, I think, is a guy you can take super late to kind of see how he ends up gelling with the team. And kind of, we also have to see what this offense is going to look like. And if you take away Kamara, the passing game is going to run through the wide receivers. So there's not going to be, you're not going to have to worry about Kamara at least getting 10 touches through the air each game.
Yep, I agree. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting with Landry. I think he'll fit in perfect. He'll fit in just fine. I think, like you said, you can get him late, and if Thomas or Olave kind of get hurt, and maybe Kamara's out as well, I think that's where Jarvis Landry steps up. But you'll never get a big splash game from Landry. You'll get your 5 catches, 80 yards. Hopefully, he gets to the end zone. I think he'll be perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. And then tight end wise for the Saints, it's just you got Taysom Hill, Adam Trautman. I think Taysom Hill, I don't know what his role is going to look like this year going forward with the Saints. Trautman is also, I'd just tight end wise stay away unless you need him on late to kind of see what he's going to look like.
I'm not on him. I know there's some of the fantasy world where it's on Trautman last year.
Yeah.
But he just didn't do anything, and so I don't expect him to do anything now, especially with the wide receivers that they had. If Trautman's not going to do that when Callaway is their best wide receiver, what is he going to do when Michael Thomas comes back with Jarvis Landry and Olave? So
yeah,
I'm off that.
It's just going to be super interesting. So, I mean, the Saints this year, they'll be pretty solid. I think they'll be okay. Their defense is going to carry the team like they normally do. It's just, I think if Michael Thomas comes back, that offense will look way different. And then it's really going to be what is going to happen with Alvin Kamara. Those are the big two questions. Is Thomas going to come back and be the old Thomas that we've seen, or is he going to be kind of this someone that we're not used to, and he's going to kind of be a bust from where he was in the past? And then is Alvin Kamara's absence going to be a big deal or not? So Saints have a lot of stuff going forward. And then you kind of look in conference rivalry here, you got the Bucks, our last team out of the South. Big news with them was Brady retired into the year. Didn't seem too real that he was going to be retiring. Never felt like he was going to be actually gone. But he comes back again for his 23rd or 22nd year.
It's going to be his 23rd year. He was drafted in 2000.
Yep. Or 22nd.
Yeah.
So Tom Brady comes back. I don't know. He coming off. I think he should have been the MVP. I don't think Aaron Rodgers should have won it again. To me, Tom Brady was the best quarterback in the NFL. Everybody just always has this notion that Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback of all time, all this stuff. I highly disagree with that. I think Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. But, like, if you give me a chance anytime to pick Rodgers or Brady, I'm taking Brady every day of the week. And from what he did last year, it's like he's going the opposite way from what his career was. Like, we're used to these dink and dunks and everything, and last year he's taking shots. It's just, can he repeat these numbers, or do you think that was kind of a one-year and done type of thing?
I don't think he can repeat. I think he'll still have a very good season. I don't think he'll be able just to reach those numbers like he did last year. I don't know why. The only thing that's different is Gronk is gone.
Yep.
And Gronk wasn't that big of a difference, but it's just, I just don't feel like Brady being 40-something years old is just going to have that type of season. I expect him to be still a top 10 quarterback, but I just don't see him having that same kind of year, although with that many passing yards, but also like with the added season or with the added game, like he got close to 5,000 and he might get close to it again. I just have that feeling where he'll have a good season, but it just won't be like last year.
And it's going to be tough because, I mean, like I said, Gronk's gone, which Gronk wasn't, like, he didn't have too many big games, but he was a reliable red zone threat. And then you got Chris Godwin, who's coming off ACL injury, and they're still unsure when he's going to be back, what that timeline is looking like. And that takes a huge shot because he is a great number two for them. You got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, but you're losing that now. How is that going to affect Brady going forward? Not having Chris Godwin to kind of be there and be that second rock is really, if you look at it, Russell Gage is really next man up for them. They signed him this offseason. It's just Russell Gage has had solid performances. He had a solid end of the year last year. But it's Tom Brady, and I think he can make anybody look good. So, I mean, Russell Gage is a huge question mark going into this year.
Yeah, I won't be drafting him, but it'd be something I'm kind of looking at. Like Tom Brady, he used Tyler Johnson a little bit, Perriman a little bit. He even used Scotty Miller some. So if Russell Gage doesn't perform, next guy step up. Like they're not going to just be waiting for, even though they paid him, they're not just going to wait around for Gage to start making plays. So if he doesn't step up, they got guys that will behind Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And with Godwin with his ACL, it's going to be interesting to see how he bounces back this year.
Well, that's what I mean. They're looking at, there might be a while where he's he might miss 6-7 games too because of his ACL injury. I think if you're going to take somebody to be that second guy late, I think Russell Gage is a great 13th, 14th round pick, or 12th, depending wherever he is. I don't know. It's just something about having Tom Brady as your quarterback, what he can do in a system like that. Like, if you look at Julian Edelman, you never expected him to be a solid receiver. I think you can look at Russell Gage to slide into being an effective number 2, and could be a late steal that you get in the draft that you can sub in at flex or even be a wide receiver too, if you need one, like absolutely need one. Because I mean, Mike Evans has had some issues with injury, but you don't know how long Chris Godwin's going to be out, and I think you give Tom Brady, Mike Evans, who will be the clear-cut one, and we'll see all the double teams, a quick route runner like Russell Gage, who on a bad Atlanta team kind of stepped up. I think it'll be interesting to see. If I'm looking at this, I think you can take Russell Gage 12th, 11th, 13th round and kind of roll with him and hope that he turns out to be a solid wide receiver too. Hoping that's if Chris Godwin stays out for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be, if Godwin out and with Gage in there, like, he would have games where he just wouldn't do anything last year, but then he had games where, like, he had last game of the season, 9 catches, 130 yards, a touchdown. Like, he has that capability, and if anyone's going to make him have those kind of games, it's going to be Tom Brady. He's going to give him the ball if he's open. So, yeah, I like that. Like, when I'm not on Russell Gage, I'm not, like, on where Chris Godwin Evans is, but late round pick, 13th, 14th round, you're trying to find maybe that secret flex play. I think that's going to be a perfect spot for Russell Gage.
I think he's going to end up being the Robbie Anderson from 2 years ago.
He's
going to be that late round draft pick that ends up turning.
He has the opportunity for it, 100%.
Yeah, and that's what, to me, it's just, I don't know. Mike Evans, I think if you look at him going forward, you got to take him in the first 2-3 rounds. I think depending, PPR wide receivers can come off the board quick. I think Mike Evans is a late second, early third pick, in my opinion, especially if Chris Godwin's out, Gronk's gone. He is a red zone threat. Like, Tom Brady loves to throw the quick fade to him. I just think Mike Evans has worked himself into being kind of untalked about as one of the top receivers in the league. I think he's a top 10 receiver, and I think you take him early because of what Brady's going to have around him. And it showed last year when Godwin got hurt that when it came down to it, he turned to Evans and threw him the ball a lot.
Yeah, when Evans gets the ball, he's going to score a touchdown a lot. Like, looking at his stats last year, there were some games where he only had 2-3 catches, but he had a touchdown. And that's what really – the only games that he doesn't score a touchdown, he does have pretty bad games. And I think that what separates him from being like a first round, like, all the guys can be pretty consistent. Yeah. Mike Evans sometimes has games where he hits that top notch, but then also he's like a very big disappointment. I agree with you that late second, early third, especially with Gronk not there, and Brady's shown that he loves Mike Evans throwing him the ball, especially in the end zone. Like, you got to take this guy.
I think
you have to.
I think with taking away Gronk and not probably having Godwin for a while, Evans can slide up pretty high on the draft board because it's going to be Brady's weapon. It's him, Russell Gage, and then, I mean, Leonard Fournette, who kind of stepped up onto the scene last year to really take over that number one role from Ronald Jones. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, I don't know. I like Mike Evans. I think he'll probably go in second round in most leagues because of what he showed last year, and I think he's kind of finally turning into a top wide receiver, and people are starting to notice it more. But you look at Leonard Fournette, who out of nowhere kind of became a do-it-all back for the Bucs. Ronald Jones had fumble issues last year, and then you got Leonard Fournette, who came up and just kind of had huge numbers in the year. Right now projected kind of late second, early third. I think that's kind of a perfect spot for him. He kind of reminds me of like DeAndre Swift from last year, where he put up some numbers. It's now, can he repeat it, and what's it going to look like going forward?
Yeah. Yeah, going last year, Fournette's always never been like the big back that caught the ball out of the field. He'd always run.
Yeah.
But he had he started. Brady loved just tossing in the ball. Usually, he thought maybe that's where Bernard was going to come in, or was Jones
Yeah.
last year. But Fournette got the ball, was on the field a lot more than people expected, and was throwing the ball a lot more. And especially in PPR leagues, like that's so valuable. And now with Jones gone, and it looks like to be just Fournette's backfield, I think he just becomes that more valuable. And if he can stay on the field, I think he's going to be a top 10 running back for sure if he stays healthy.
That's what I think it'll be. Like he's an interesting play because I mean last year it was late because of Ronald Jones, but really he doesn't have anybody. I know Rachaad White is someone that people think might take some workload, but it's not going to be a lot. I think this is Leonard Fournette's team, and in the backfield it's going to be interesting to see. I know Todd Bowles is taking over. Bruce Arians is gone, so I feel like this offense will be a little bit more in sync because Bruce Arians is gone. But I like Leonard Fournette. I think he's going to take over. But yeah, like second round, early third is definitely going to be where he's going to slide to this year. And then tight end wise for them with Gronk leaving, you got Cameron Brate being listed as the number one option. But there's a lot of talk out of camp that Cade Otton might be the best one to take over for Gronk in this lineup coming out of Washington. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
We saw Cameron Brate. He had decent games. Everyone thought O.J. Howard was going to be the guy. They ended up trading him to, I forget where they traded him. But he's gone. Now you got Cameron Brate, who had a couple touchdowns in the year. But it's going to be interesting to see kind of who's going to take that role from Gronk. And right now, signs are pointing towards Cade Otton to be that guy.
Yep, I'll be staying away, but also I do it's going to be pretty interesting to see kind of what they do because Tom Brady does like his tight ends. He likes throwing to them. He loved Gronk, so he's going to try to get them involved. By the way, O.J. Howard went to the Bills.
That's it.
But anyway, I know Brate's going to be the guy coming off, but like you said with Otto. What's his name?
Cade Otton.
His name Otton. Sorry, Otton. But this going to be. I just want to see is he going to be incorporated more? But I'm not touching him until I start to see him on the field. More for sure.
If you're going to take somebody, it's probably going to be Cameron Brate just because of what he's been in the room. He knows what he's doing, and Otton's coming off some surgery, so it's going to be tough to see. It's going to be interesting to see kind of who fills what role for this team going forward at that tight end position. And I know there's hints that if Brady calls Gronk's going to come back and do whatever, but I don't think that'll be till later in the year if Brady absolutely needs him. So
that might be later, close to playoff time.
It's going to be. I don't know, this NFC South. I feel like it's going to be the Bucs, Saints at the top. The other two, Panthers are such a big question mark. Like we saw last year, their defense carried them to victories. Now, they didn't play the best competition, but they still carried them to victories. And then you got, I think Atlanta's kind of going to be the odd man out. It's going to be a weird team. I don't really know what to expect from them. With Mariota, they have so much gone and new people in. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking for gambling wise, over under. The Falcons over under 5 wins.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of right. They were right around that mark last year. It's just really going to depend on
I just think that defense is not going to be that good again, and being in have to play the Bucs twice, and then if the Saints stay healthy, that offense twice. It's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, I don't. It's a tough league. It's just hard because Atlanta would be in games with the Bucs last year, and it's just I don't know how much of a difference Mariota is going to be than Matt Ryan. He's more athletic and can move a lot more. It's just like you said, Atlanta's defense was so bad last year. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting division. I think the Bucs win the division just because the Tom's there, and they pretty much their whole defense is still intact. And then Mike Evans will be good. I think Russell Gage will be very good for him. So I don't know. It's just a weird division in general.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay kind of wins it with ease. I think the Saints have a chance to maybe get in that wild card spot. I do like their over under for wins is 8. I kind of like that over for wins. I think if their whole offense can stay healthy and maybe Kamara doesn't get suspended for 6 games, I can see them winning 8 games.
I feel like Kamara's
for
sure out. Like there's no chance the NFL can let that go.
They keep pushing. I can see them just keep pushing it back, and once the season starts, I feel like there's like, oh, we'll deal with this at the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, Deshaun Watson.
The NFL does weird. The NFL does weird things. Like they're just doing the Watson stuff, and then I feel like out of nowhere, Kamara will be suspended 6 games.
Well,
they won't say anything. At least he'll be suspended.
That's what we got. Deshaun Watson with 27 whatever cases, and then Calvin Ridley gambles and gets a ban for a whole year. Like, to me, it's freaking crazy. Yeah. It's just a wild turn. So I don't know.
The NFL always shoots itself in the foot.
So, but yeah, that is our recap of the NFC South. We will hop on and finish out the NFC. I think our last one's NFC East next week. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. There's some big stuff there. Eagles kind of making moves in NFC East. So it'll be interesting. A lot of room to talk. We're gonna maybe try to do a mock draft here soon too. So make sure you guys follow, subscribe, hit the notification button. Let us know what you think in the